What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Why We Love Horror special edition. Like we do during weeks when things got a little bit flooded in the theaters, we don't want to miss out talking about all the new releases. And since Abby and Aaron and I did get a chance to see a screening of Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person this weekend, that's going to have to bump out, unfortunately. A Quiet Place Day 1!
What do we do? Save everyone we can.
I have a plan.
So that was the third and final trailer, which has been released since the movie has been released into theaters for Michael Sarnowski's A Quiet Place Day 1. Now, if you had been going to the movies since, I don't know, the beginning of this year, no matter what kind of movie you went to see, whether it was a horror movie or a drama movie or a science fiction movie or a comedy or whatever, this trailer played. They really didn't seem to care if the A Quiet Place Day 1 crowd was going to this movie. They were trying to funnel as many people as possible to see A Quiet Place Day 1. So if you'd seen that original trailer, the one where it's kind of like, day 1, day 460, whatever, back to day 1 where you see John Krasinski, or the second one where they kind of unveiled a little bit more about the alien invasion, where Lupita Nyong'o is walking around New York City with her cat. I believe those two trailers they didn't necessarily give a false impression, but they definitely put like their action scenes forward, where a lot of people who saw those trailers thought that this was tonally different from A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2, where those movies are kind of like more like your Metal Gear Solid sneaking around type movies, as opposed to like a War of the Worlds action type movie. I'm not saying that these two, well, it looks like one scene in these trailers because they kind of blend them all together, but it's actually two separate scenes that are far apart in the movie. I'm not saying those scenes aren't in the movie. They are in the movie. But the majority of the movie is the tone of A Quiet Place that you've come to know and love. A lot of people also ask me, like, did Michael Sarnowski put his like stamp on this movie? Like, did you get vibes? Like, was this like Pig? I would say not really. I mean, obviously he's very talented, and like a lot of those vibes, I guess maybe in the conversations that Lupita Nyong'o has with other people, you kind of get that kind of like bleakness that we got in Pig. So, okay, I retract that statement. He does put his stamp on this movie through the interactions between the human beings. But with that, before I go any further, let me just throw up spoilers, because there's a big spoiler like right away that was not revealed in any of the trailers. So the movie, at this point, if you haven't seen it, you should go away, because I'm about to give away a major plot point that's going to color everything you've seen in these trailers a little bit differently. Movie opens up with something that was not revealed in the trailers at all, and the fact that Lupita Nyong'o's character, Samira, or Sam as we get to know her, is dying. She is a hospice patient. She is terminally ill. Apparently, it is something genetic, because she tells a backstory about her father also died young. Her father was a jazz musician of some renown. She is a poet of some renown. So a very artistic family that reaches success to the point that she's living by herself in New York City prior to putting herself in hospice. So she's obviously doing very well for herself if she has an apartment anywhere in New York City nowadays, as you know. So the movie opens where she is in hospice. We don't know how long she has until she's dying, but she is at the point where they are just making her comfortable. She is just on pain management. She's on fentanyl patches to combat the pain she's feeling, and that's a minor plot point in the movie, because she is debilitated through the pain, and when her fentanyl wears off, they have to go find more for her. That's the scene where you see Joseph Quinn's kind of hiding up on the girders from the aliens, because he's trying to break into a pharmacy and get fentanyl for her later on in the movie. But anyway, it is a character study about her and Joseph Quinn's character, Eric. And we get to know them very well throughout the course of the movie. And of course, but I'm going to put right up top, MVP of this movie is Frodo the Cat, who's played by multiple cats. So I can't really give all the cats credit, because multiple cats play Frodo. But I will say here, if you are a cat lover, of any level of cat lover. If you casually like cats, if you're totally into cats, you're going to be remiss if you miss A Quiet Place Day One. Only surpassed by very few movies. Maybe A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. That cat in that movie is at the same level of actor as the cat in this movie. I might even say the cats that play Frodo are better cat actors because the stunts they have this cat do are A plus. But we're going to have a Frodo appreciation part of this video later. So basically, Alex Wolff is a nurse, a hospice nurse, and you don't see him in any of the trailers. Actually, his death scene in the movie, in the trailers, is somebody else dies in the same way in the trailers, the way he dies in the movie, which was weird, but whatever. I noticed it. So again, hospice nurse has a bunch of hospice patients. However, he's trying to do recreation for them. He basically bribes her to get pizza if she'll go into the city with them to see a play. Play turns out to be a marionette show. Very good marionette show for marionette shows. It's not Team America World Police level, but it is good enough. And then it's while the hospice patients are at that play that the invasion happens, even though she is outside. She goes to take a break and goes to that's the scene you see where she's in the convenience store and she says her cat's a service cat, which it is. And it is clearly a very well-trained cat. So yeah, she gets knocked out in the original invasion. And then she gets brought back to the theater. The cat finds its way back to her. Again, we'll get back to our Frodo appreciation later. And then the movie goes into your typical Quiet Place stuff where there's not a lot of battling the aliens or figuring out what's going on. It is a lot of people have figured out they need to shut up and they're being very quiet. And they know if any sound happens that they are in danger. There's a whole scene where the cat barely brushes a bell that's on a decoration, and that causes the aliens to burst through the front door of the theater. And that trope, I guess that trope within A Quiet Place universe happened several times in the movie, but we're used to it by now. We get to see the initial response of the government, where they are, staying very high in the air, where the aliens can't reach them, and shouting down instructions via bullhorns, shelter in place, try to get on a boat. They do figure out the aliens can't swim. There's actually a very good scene of an alien trying to swim and failing in this movie. I would say this movie plays upon a lot of common fears we have. There's definitely some scenes where if you're claustrophobic, it'll bother you. There's scenes where if you're afraid of drowning, it will bother you. There's scenes where if you're afraid of dying in any kind of industrial disaster, it will bother you. So I think A Quiet Place Day One checks a lot of boxes. I do think it's overall a really good movie. I'm glad I saw it. I did go in thinking it was going to be more action-based, and I was surprised that they basically just front-loaded all that stuff into the trailer. It is not like that. So if that's the reason why you haven't seen it yet, let me tell you that you should go see it, though. I don't know why you're still watching. I told you to go away because this is the spoiler part of the video. That being said, let's talk about my absolute favorite character, Frodo the Cat, and how this cat really does have 9 lives in this movie. This cat survives basically 2 situations where it should have drowned, one situation where it should have gotten trampled, another situation where 2 or 3 times where the cat just should have gotten absolutely just lost and never been seen again. But the cat keeps finding his way back. And so I want to go on and say, last year I said Riley from Talk to Me was the toughest motherfucker in horror of 2023. Frodo the Cat is the toughest motherfucker in horror for 2024. Mark my words, we're not going to surpass this mark at all. So let's go into our little skits we do when I'm by myself.
I can fix it.
I think the only thing I really would fix about this movie is the fact that we kind of were promised a bunch of it's all in the marketing again. Obviously, we know Djimon Hounsou's in it. We kind of were promised, I feel, through the marketing that we were going to learn more about him. We learned really next to nothing about him other than the fact that he has a wife and a kid. His name is Henri or Henry. And that's it. We don't see much of him. He does accidentally kill a guy. I mean, but the guy was going to give him up. The guy was having a legit panic attack and he kills the guy. Oops. But I really thought we were going to get more about him and other characters that we've seen in A Quiet Place Part 2. I mean, we know how their lives end. I wanted to know more about it. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like we were sold that bill of goods and it didn't deliver. And then also just the general marketing of the movie. The fact that those trailers where they were just action front-loaded does exist, and it did cause that debate prior to the movie coming out. Oh, this isn't really a Quiet Place movie. You could have avoided having people say that about the movie at all if you had just marketed it exactly the same way. I think people love the themes of A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place Part 2. I think you wouldn't have necessarily been remiss marketing it the same exact way because the movie is that, and it's strong in that respect. So that's how I would fix it.
Mike!
Is this the greatest horror movie you're going to see this year? No. Is it really good, though? Yeah, it's really good. I settled on a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. This movie, I had a really good time. Like I said, Frodo the Cat, legend, absolute legend. If you love cats and you didn't see this movie, I will find you. That being said, that's all I have for you on this Wednesday evening for Why We Love Horror. I highly recommend A Quiet Place Day 1. If you haven't seen it, go see it. If you made it this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Go to the Facebook group, Why We Love Horror. Join that. Get all your previews there. The TikTok is at WWL Horror. There's different kinds of content there. And then, like the schedule it is, Monday versus myself and Will talk about a bad horror movie. Wednesday, it's either a show like this or an extra edition of Why We Love Horror trivia. Thursday's our main Why We Love Horror episode. Tomorrow we will be covering Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. A great movie. Not to spoil my opinion, a great movie, a great time. And then we're not going to be going live tomorrow because it is the 4th of July. And then Friday, you're going to get 2 episodes of Why We Love Horror Trivia, 2 matches. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we absolutely appreciate your patronage.